guys. Welcome back to another Whispered Facts episode, and welcome if this is your very first time here. Today, we will be covering the topic of Michael Jackson, one of the most recognizable and influential figures in music throughout the late 20th and early 21st century. So once again, it is time to lay back, relax, and let yourself drift away as I whisper facts about Michael Jackson. Michael Joseph Jackson was an American singer, songwriter, and dancer. Dubbed the King of Pop, he is regarded as one of the most significant cultural figures of the 20th century. Over a career spanning 4 decades, his contributions to music, dance, and fashion, along with his publicized personal life, made him a global figure in popular culture. Jackson influenced artists across many music genres. Through stage and video performances, he popularized complicated dance moves such as the moonwalk, to which he gave the name, as well as the robot, and he is the most awarded music artist in history. Okay, so that's a very brief paragraph on who Michael Jackson was and what he contributed throughout his career. So now let's take a more detailed look at his upbringing and how his music career was launched. Michael Jackson was born on August 29th, 1958 in Gary, Indiana. His father, Joseph Jackson, was a boxer, steelworker, and a guitarist. But to provide for his family, he worked as a crane operator. His mother, Catherine Esther Scrouse, was a Jehovah's Witness, but also worked part-time at a department store. He had a big family with 3 sisters and 5 brothers. Michael's father was violent with him and his brothers. He faced physical and emotional abuse during unceasing rehearsals. During an interview, he had revealed that his father used to beat him and his brothers with a strap and didn't regret doing so. In 1965, Michael's father made a band called Jackson Brothers with him and Marlon, and included his brothers Jackie, Tito, and Jermaine as backup musicians. He gave his first public performance at the age of 5, singing Climb Every Mountain. In the late 60s and early 70s, the Jackson 5 recorded many songs such as Big Boy, The Love You Save, I'll Be There, Got to Be There, I Want You Back, and many more hits. I don't know a whole lot about the early days of his life, but I have seen some pictures, and I guess the song that really comes to my mind is ABC, if you've heard that one. I'm sure you have. sings the majority of it solo, but I'd really have to look it up to be sure. It's a great song though, as I'm sure all of the early Jackson 5 songs were, which is really what brought him to the attention of the public and how talented he was as well. Jackson began his solo career in 1971 while at Motown Records. He became a solo star with the 1979 album Off the Wall. His music videos, including those for Beat It, Billie Jean, and Thriller from his 1982 album Thriller, are credited with breaking racial barriers and transforming the medium into an art form and promotional tool. Yeah, when I think of Michael Jackson songs, the ones that come to mind first would be the likes of Thriller, which I think is hands down the best Michael Jackson song ever, in my opinion. Also, Beat It, which first came to my attention probably in the Back to the Future sequel, in which it features in the Cafe's 80s scene. Back to the Future being one of my favourite movie franchises of all time. And it was also one of my very early fact videos on this channel, as it happens. So feel free to check that out if you're interested. And then we have Billie Jean, another classic. So yeah, I think the 1980s was really the peak of his popularity. From the late 1980s, Jackson became a figure of controversy and speculation due to his changing appearance, relationships, behavior, and lifestyle. In 1993, he was accused of sexually abusing the child of a family friend. The lawsuit was settled out of civil court. Jackson was not indicted due to lack of evidence. In 2005, he was tried and acquitted of further child sexual abuse allegations and several other charges. In both cases, the FBI found no evidence of criminal conduct on Jackson's behalf in either case. On the 25th of June 2009, while preparing for a series of comeback concerts, This Is It, Jackson died from an overdose administered by his personal physician, Conrad Murray, who was convicted in 2011 of involuntary manslaughter. Yeah, I mean, I do tend to want to focus more so on the positive aspects of his life in this video, but I really couldn't make a video about him without at least touching on the controversies in his life. His appearance was something that was often talked about, and it did become more and more, I don't want to say strange looking, but certainly not natural in appearance the older that he got. I think he looked his best probably around the early 1980s. I mean, I think he looks good in the Thriller video, personally. Regarding the allegations against him, well, he was acquitted, so we have to accept that he was found innocent in a court of law. We may never truly know what happened in his private life. Nobody really can. But regarding his death, I remember it quite clearly in my mind. He's one of those people, you seem to remember where you were at the time he died. I mean, before doing this video, I could have told you the exact date and year that he died. He was just that much of an influential figure, and although I was never a huge fan, it was more so my sister in my family who was the big Michael Jackson fan, and that's where I gained a lot of my knowledge of him. But I know how much he impacted the lives of his fans and the music industry, and essentially everything that he done. So yeah, he was a great loss when he died, and he certainly died much too young. On the day that Jackson died, Wikipedia, AOL, and Twitter all crashed at the same time at 3:15 p.m. Michael Jackson's net worth is now estimated to be over $2.4 billion, making him the richest non-living person. Wow, that is an astonishing amount of money. The residents of Gabon gave Jackson the title of king in their village, making him royalty in this small West African country. And I'm not sure exactly what village it's referring to in Gabon, or you might pronounce it as Gabon. But yeah, that's a cool little fact, I think, and he clearly had a huge influence on people all over the world, even in small countries in Africa. So yeah, I think that's a really cool fact. Whilst he didn't invent the dance move, Michael Jackson was best known for his moonwalk. As much as it looked like he could defy gravity in Smooth Criminal, this was actually created by a very special pair of shoes that involved hooking retractable pegs with a slot in the heels. It was so special, Michael had the design patented to dissuade impersonators from recreating the move. Wow. So that's how he did the moonwalk. We have an actual explanation for it. And I think it's something that we've all tried at some point in our lives, mostly when we're kids. I certainly remember doing it. But yeah, Smooth Criminal is another great song that I really enjoy, and one that I'm more familiar with than others. I have to say, I did really enjoy some of his 90s songs, the likes of Earth Song, and Black and White is another one that I'm very fond of. And as I've mentioned, my sister was a big fan of Michael Jackson, and I remember that she had an album at the time in the early to mid 90s with his songs on it, so I heard a lot of them at that time. Jackson claims Mexican food was his favorite type of cuisine, mosaic out. It's quite a random little fact there, but it's pretty cool nonetheless. So he was a big fan of Mexican food, but for me, it would always have to be pizza. I'm not a big lover of Mexican or Indian, Chinese, etc. So I would always go for pizza over anything else. He has 23 Guinness World Records, 40 Billboard Awards, 13 Grammys, and 26 American Music Awards. So yeah, he definitely won a lot of things throughout his life. All kinds of records there and different achievements throughout his career, which, as we heard earlier in the video, spanned over 4 decades. So yeah, some really good achievements there. It was once reported that Jackson racked up over $1 million in library fines because of overdue books. This is another very random fact, but I love that. $1 million, that it's hard to imagine how many books exactly that might have been overdue. That's quite astonishing, really. While many fans are familiar with Jackson's treasured pet llamas, Louis and Lola, they may not know that he routinely took the pair with him to his recording studio in Los Angeles. I didn't actually know that he had pet llamas, so that's news to me. My Michael Jackson knowledge is fairly thin on the ground, as I've mentioned, so most of the facts in this video is new information to me, but I love that about these videos. I love learning with you guys, and hopefully you guys enjoy the time that we spend learning about a wide range of subjects and figures such as Michael Jackson. After signing a $5 million deal with Pepsi Cola, he got severely injured while filming a commercial for them. It caused burns to his face and scalp. When his injuries were getting addressed, he began experimenting with plastic surgery. After being so impressed with the treatment he received at the Brotman Medical Center in California following the accident in the Pepsi commercial, Jackson donated $1.5 million to the hospital, resulting in the naming of the Michael Jackson Burn Center. And I have a very vague memory of the Pepsi incident, but it's only reading about it now that has actually tweaked that memory. It's something that I'd like to go and look into further, I think, after I'm done making this video, because it's something that, as I say, I do recall, but it is a very vague memory, so yeah, I'd like to see more information on that. The word Shamoun became popular from Michael Jackson's song Bad, released in 1987. Jackson used Shamoun instead of version of I'll See You There in 1975. The Neverland Ranch mansion was listed for $100 million in 2015, but was discounted several times until the Pittsburgh Penguins co-owner purchased the estate for $22 million in 2019. In 1983, with around 47 million viewers, Motown was a huge success, where Jackson performed Billie Jean and showed his famous dance move called the moonwalk. So by the sounds of this, the moonwalk was first seen in 1983, so that's a good bit of knowledge to pick up, I think. After becoming close with the co-chairman of Exeter City, Uri Geller, Jackson was named as an honorary director of the soccer club. Yeah, I actually knew this fact beforehand, one of the very few within this video, but I knew that Uri Geller and Michael Jackson were close friends. His album Thriller is the best-selling album of all time, with around 65 million copies being sold. It is quite possibly the most iconic music video to have ever graced our screens, but it nearly didn't make the cut. Jackson demanded the whole thing to be scrapped when Jehovah's Witnesses threatened to banish him when they found out about the video idea. Jackson later agreed for filming to continue, but added a disclaimer at the start to say, "Due to my strong personal convictions, I wish to stress that this film in no way endorses a belief in the occult." And I think that videos like this were made for facts like this. Obviously, I know of the Thriller video. It's been mentioned a number of times throughout this facts video, and it's one of the best songs and video combinations in history, and I don't think many would disagree with that. But I can't honestly say that I recall the disclaimer. It's a cool fact though that it almost wasn't made, but thankfully they found a way around it, or we would have been deprived of one of the best songs / videos ever. Michael, along with his sister Janet, were part of the most expensive video ever. Scream, with a whopping expense of $7 million. It's funny, but I can't honestly say that I've ever heard of this song, Scream. I'm intrigued now. Maybe I have heard it before, but I just don't recognize the name, which often happens to me. I know a lot of songs by sound, but not not by name. Jackson fancied himself as Spider-Man. When Marvel Comics filed for bankruptcy in the 90s, Michael tried to buy the company so he could fulfill his dream to play the leading role. However, it didn't go to plan, and Tobey Maguire stepped up to play Peter Parker instead. Ever the optimist, Jackson refused to let his dream of becoming a Marvel superhero go. When the X-Men movie franchise was announced, he tried to nab the role of Charles Xavier, aka Professor X. The casting director thought otherwise, and this later went to Patrick Stewart. If this fact is true, then it's an absolutely unbelievable one. It almost sounds made up, but as amazing as Michael Jackson was, I couldn't picture him as Spider-Man or any kind of superhero. It's quite a funny image, really. I'm glad that he stuck to what he was good at in the end, which of course was providing the world with amazing music. Before his death, Jackson was rehearsing for his greatest comeback with around 50 shows in London. The name of the concert was This Is It. Jackson once said that his favorite animated character of all time was Disney's Pinocchio. I love Pinocchio, and it's right up there as one of my favorite Disney movies of all time. I actually did a Disney World Facts video a while back in which I talk about some of my favorite Disney movies and how they influenced my life. So check that out if you fancy. I'll put a link down in the description. Michael Jackson's first marriage with Elvis Presley's daughter, Lisa Marie Presley, in 1994 lasted for only 19 months. Later, he had his second marriage in 1996 with Deborah Jean Rowe and had 2 kids, Michael Joseph Jackson Jr. and a daughter, Paris Michael Catherine Jackson. This marriage also ended in 1999. While the Jackson family is very well known, many people do not know that Marlon had a twin brother guess it makes sense. The security of Jackson's Neverland Ranch in Santa Ynez, I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that, but it's spelled Y-N-E-Z, required the employment of at least 40 security guards patrolling the grounds at one time. Yeah, I'm sure that it needed it, because I'm sure that over the years there were a number of incidents of possibly estranged fans trying to get inside, because you often hear of things like that happening. And indeed, in the world of sport, recently there's been a lot of cases of burglaries at famous footballers' homes. So yeah, without doubt, the Neverland Ranch would have to be heavily secured with guards. Jackson was a big animal lover, and his most famous pet was Bubbles, the chimpanzee. Bubbles was adopted from a Texan research facility, and the pair soon became inseparable. The duo walked down red carpets, made public appearances together, and ate at the same dinner table every night. Bubbles was even taught how to do the moonwalk. Whether it was due to puberty or the effects from Prince Jackson's birth, Bubbles had to be given away as he became more and more aggressive as he grew older. I have a vague memory of Bubbles and seeing them on the news when I was younger, but this is the first mention I've seen of him since, and it makes me think about Marcel the monkey in Friends, if you've ever seen that, and how he reacted to maturing and his behaviour becoming more and more difficult to handle, and Ross having to give him up, and eventually he went to a zoo, I believe it was the San Diego Zoo. So yeah, I guess it's something that happens with some animals. Michael Jackson planned for a huge Vegas comeback in 2005. Much like his other shows, this one wasn't going to be done in half measures. The initial idea was to have a 50-foot tall Michael Jackson robot roam through the Nevada desert. The plan was later revised to have a Michael Jackson themed hotel and casino in the city of Sin. But the ideas were scrapped when the star was unable to gather the funds required for the project. Jackson has not one, but 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, representing his work as a solo artist and as part of a Jackson 5 band. Martin Scorsese directed the music video for Bad. Scorsese is most famous for his films Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, and The Wolf of Wall Street. Jackson was presented with a humanitarian award by former President Ronald Reagan. Jackson is also considered one of the most collectible celebrities in the world. His most iconic costume pieces, alongside his red and black leather Thriller music video jacket, was sold for $1.8 million at an auction in 2011. His iconic black bad jacket, which he wore on his first solo tour, was sold for $298,000, and so on. I think this fact pretty much listed everything that I would associate Michael Jackson with, fashion-wise. The iconic red suit from Thriller, the black jacket from Bad, and also the glove that he often wore, which wasn't mentioned within this fact, but he was very famous for wearing that particular glove. And I'm sure that all of these pieces of Michael Jackson memorabilia will be showcased somewhere proudly on display. Jackson's longtime costume designer, Michael Bush, once revealed that the entertainer had a 28-inch waist that would sometimes shrink by an entire inch after performing particularly strenuous dance routines. There have been speculations about Michael Jackson's intentional bleaching. However, his dermatologist, Dr. Arnold Klein, explained that Jackson had a skin disease called vitiligo. I'm not sure if I've quite pronounced that right. Vitiligo causes a person to lose pigment in patches all over their body and affects 1 to 2% of the population. In November 2002, Jackson had to face the media after he dangled his youngest son, Prince Michael II, over a 4th-story balcony in Berlin in front of hundreds of fans. Later, he apologized over his act, saying, "I got caught up in the excitement of the moment. I would never intentionally endanger the lives of my children." I do recall this incident, and I saw the clip recently on YouTube, but I think he pretty much summed up all there has to be said on it. It was a moment of madness, just a split-second bad decision, which I'm sure all of us have had in our lives at some point, and thankfully no harm came of it. And finally, on the morning of 9/11, he had a meeting in one of the Twin Towers, but luckily missed it because he overslept. Oh my goodness, that is amazing. What a fact to finish the video on. You may call that God's divine intervention, I guess. He wasn't supposed to die at that moment. I mean, we'll never truly know what would have happened had he made that meeting, but was certainly there that he could have perished at that time, like so many did, but thankfully he didn't, and he got to live his life for another 8 years or so. Alright guys, that is almost it for today's Whisper Facts episode, all about the pop legend himself, Michael Jackson. I hope you enjoyed the facts contained within this video. I know I had a lot of fun putting this one together and learning a lot more about the man himself. If you did enjoy the video, I'd really appreciate if you hit the like button to support the channel. Consider subscribing if you haven't done so already for plenty more content like this in the near future. And if you do subscribe, be sure to click the notification bell to keep up to date with all of my contents when it goes live on the channel. But thank you for joining me, and until next time, rest easy, sleep well, and I hope to see you again very soon for another video, and goodbye for now.